One of the questions I was asking as I went to Africa is, what does it mean for us to be a church marked by compassion? How do we live that out? And I would say that the experience that most profoundly answered that question for me was the time we spent in Zimbabwe with Bulawayo Baptist Church and what they call Our Neighbors Ministry. Their vision is really quite simple. They want to love their neighbors as themselves. And their definition of who their neighbor is totally aligned with the story of the Good Samaritan. Often their neighbor isn't somebody that they know, but definitely someone in need. The needs in Zimbabwe are increasing on a daily basis as the situation there spirals out of control. Even those who used to be middle class are poor. Everyone's hungry, and many are actually dying of starvation. And yet, living through the midst of this, Bulawayo Baptist Church and Our Neighbors Ministry is reaching out and acting as the hands and feet of Christ in this situation. We had the incredible privilege of participating in their soup kitchen, and we watched as food that was prepared for 170 stretched to feed 230. I was amazed and inspired to see this church casting its nets so wide, with ministries addressing the needs of orphans and widows, prostitutes, people infected with HIV and AIDS, people suffering from the devastation of poverty. And they do this not because they're a mega church with mega resources. They do it because they're filled with faith and compassion and a deep understanding of the heart of God. One of the things that I want to share with our community is the belief that I have in our partners with MCC. I didn't have any doubt before I went, but I've come back completely convinced that we're partnering with the right people. Without fail, every MCC rep that I met was passionate, was committed, and had vision and wisdom in the way that they were moving forward and addressing the needs and the issues that they faced. Again, consistently, there's a holistic approach. So when they see needs of poverty and hunger, they're not just addressing those needs of starvation, of hunger. They're also addressing the whole person with counseling, with community, with schooling. Wherever the gaps are, they're really reaching out and seeking to fill those gaps. So it was really empowering for us to see that our partners are really doing it right. They're the hands and feet of Christ on the ground, and we can trust them to be honoring what we're sending and doing it the right way. So I've returned inspired, but I've also returned with a challenge. As many of you know, the Meeting House is the fastest growing church in Canada. And the question I have is, are our acts of compassion growing at the same rate as our numbers? Because at the end of the day, do the numbers really matter? I think the impact that we can have is being the most compassionate church in Canada, reaching out not only to our neighbors, people on our doorstep, but people halfway around the world who are suffering in ways we don't even begin to understand.
She